And of course, we always should start with ourselves, with self-love, to dissolve all this inner separation that we created within ourselves through self-hatred and all these conditions, that cultural conditions and our personal conditions that we put to ourselves, and there is lots of surrendering.
Welcome to the Consciousness of the Way. I'm your humble servant and Sifu, Hieros Master San Qing, and this is a incredible moment for me. Dear friends returning back to the podcast, Viivika, Sophia, and David Maria, the Eden template. I'm just so in bliss and happiness right now, and I'm really lost for words, as there shouldn't be words. Welcome back to the podcast, my dear friends.
Oh, thank you, San. It is truly a pleasure to be here with you.
It's
thank you, dear son. It's really honored to be here with you and in your presence.
Well, you guys are, you're already cooking. Everyone's already getting a little high on what's being transmitted, and you haven't even attempted to put your attention and intention. But this, once again, is further evidence for any of my students and other audience that this is what happens when you embody a resonance and state, and you are basically the unification of that. That's your very breath, your very attention, intention, your expression in this material. It resides within this experience that we're having right now. So I'm very grateful for you. And furthermore, I want to let the audience know that our first conversation is available to go deeper to the origins of David and Viivika's experience. But we can speak on it briefly, but I want to get into some really interesting points in conversation where we're at in the consciousness right now, because things have changed so much since our last conversation. If you guys want to share a little bit about leading up to this point, and that can be the abbreviated version, and everyone can go back and go deeper on the original conversation, because I have so many questions to ask you guys.
Let's do it very briefly then.
Okay. Really briefly, we are the same soul. That's about it.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking. I think that's fantastic, guys. We got right to the point, and I think, wow, where do we go from there? I mean, it's pretty profound. No, that is, in definition, this offering that we're experiencing right now, that you guys are transmitting, is incredible, and the audience can experience, my students can experience it, and furthermore, going back to that conversation, I'm assuming that you were for real on that one, David. I don't know whether if we want to go further, or you're good with that answer. I'm happy with it.
I'm really, really good with that answer.
Okay.
We are the same soul. We know that we are the same soul. We're aware of each other. We're awake within that soul, and we know who we are and why we are here.
And this remembrance opening up more and more, and it's the more we have been together, the more we embody this truth that we are.
And it seems to be a very consistent messaging across the globe in what we consider the human condition right now. There's incredible evidence of transmission of frequency resonance, such as yourself, the things that I put out, that are helping raise humanity's awareness and being in tune with sentience, the true currency of the human condition. Furthermore, embodying the juice. What's the center point of humanity? There's nothing more powerful than empathy. And when people's attention is drawn to that incredible superpower from a human condition perspective, we can bring back this unified state. And, it's not a transitory, fleeting, passing word that could end up on a Hallmark card where we talk about love, but it's true evidence, such as the transmission that you guys put out, which I would love to get the insight from the Eden template. Furthermore, if you guys want to speak on that.
We're being deferential to each other.
When we talking about unity consciousness, then the more we embody this truth about ourselves, that we are all one consciousness, the more starting to this whales of separation, this illusion of separation dissolve. And we, as ourselves, we put these veils between ourselves and others, and they're always inside of ourselves. And these veils can be judgment and different conditions that we put into the love. And when we're talking about the love, we're talking about highest order of love, which is unity consciousness. And the more we are in our hearts, the more we amplifying this beautiful heart qualities, as you also told about compassion. The more we're starting to feel everything and everybody as extension of our heart. And it feels sometimes like our physical body outlines totally disappearing, and you're like merging with all creation. You still feel this, your physical body as like center point, but then you simultaneously feel also your cosmic body, your cosmic heart, your cosmic mind. And when you feel that, then you feel how you hold all creation in your heart, and you are this observer from this neutral state of love. Because the divine unconditional love, it's always neutral. There is no hierarchy, there is no judgment. It's always neutral. So this is briefly about unity consciousness.
Yeah. We are all source. We are all God. And I don't mean that as a personality thing. If you think you're God and you think you're the only one that's God, they tend to lock you up in an asylum. But if you know you're God and you know that everybody else is also God, then they tend to want to come talk to you. And using the word God is really it's a word that is you can't, there is no word to be able to describe our Creator. It's completely inevitable. It doesn't matter what word you use. Native Americans have their own expression. All cultures have their own expression, and they're all a way to describe something that cannot be described. I really don't like to use any of them except potentially source, because it's fairly neutral. There's no religious or cultural connotations that get conveyed with that word. And yet it's who we all are. All of creation is this wave of love that flows from source, from our creator, and it brings all of us into being, and we are all it. There is no separation anywhere in all of creation, none whatsoever. That separation is only an illusion. And if you think it, you could think that there might be veils between us and source, like dimensions or something like that. What's been being shown recently is that those veils are veils that we create ourselves. So if we look at somebody and we think of them judgmentally, that creates a veil between us and creation. We've now created a sense of separation because we've said there's another, and that other is not me, and I'm in judgment of them. There is nothing outside of us. There is no out there. It's all in here. And like Viivika was mentioning about her body expanding and feeling into being the cosmic body. It's like nesting dolls in reverse, that each doll you open, it's bigger, it's more expansive. And yet, no matter how big it gets, no matter how expansive it gets, it's still us. Whether that's the body that the three of us now are living in, which are just projections of our consciousness, whether that's Gaia, the planet that we currently live on, whether it's our solar system or galaxy or this universe or other universes, it's all still us. There is no separation anywhere in there.
And when we're talking about love and what is the difference between human love and this cosmic unconditional love and divine love, human love always have conditions, and this is a what separating or creating this illusion of separation from source as the source of love, because we as human, we very often we are judgmental, and we have certain beliefs, and the more we putting this certain condition into this original energy, which is in all creation, which is this divine love, then it's starting to kiss. And the more conditions, the less we feel this connection with our true essence. And the more we are in this neutral state of love, the more our heart starting to expand. And the more we're starting to feel connection with all creation, until we can call it also ascension of our heart, until it's just merging with the heart of creation, and our heart becoming so light that it's undescribable how light it is, and this literally holds all creation. When you meet other beings, you of course you still have this discernment. You see, you feel also these distortions and lower energy, but simultaneously you also feel and see their true essence always. Because when you are embodying unity consciousness, you always feel this connection point with your heart with all creation. And you can amplify that just being who you are, not trying to change others, but just shining forth your true essence, which is love.
And it has been said that the universe could be defined as having no boundaries at all, and yet whose center is everywhere. So when you are centered in your heart, you are centered in all of creation, with all of creation, as all of creation.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And in our heart, there is like central point or core of creation. And when you reach this place, or when you merged with this your true essence, then you feel how you're starting to feel this breath of creation that flowing through this very core of yourself, very core of all creation. And this breath again is love. What we told about, and you're starting to. It's really subtle when you're starting to feel that. You feel how you one point you like materialize yourself, and one point you dematerialize. Is it correct in English? Mm-hmm. there is really like subtle difference, and this is how you're starting to experience your multidimensional self. You feel your physical body, and next moment you can feel your more subtle self, until you feel your true essence, which is not physical at all anymore.
Yeah, so no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I finished.
It's interesting because there's so many different ways up the mountain to define this, as you put it, the center point. Within Taoism, we call it Wu Ji, which is the primordial mother, the unification of all things, and you return to that womb, which most people would perceive things as yin and yang, right? Which is up and down, in and out to the general seeker. But through more further inquiry, as you look at yin and yang as not yin and yang in the sense of a polarizing effects of this material electromagnetism, we're speaking about yin as a product or a creation of all the absorption of all colors, and then yang is the emission of all colors, and they all come from the same creation of that primordial mother, which is the void, the womb. And then you see that complete, what someone would perceive as darkness, but from that creates everything. And that symbiotic relationship between yin and yang is this perceived evidence of what we call the currency of this material state, which is electromagnetism. And when you unify the electric and magnetic potential within this state, you create that beautiful cosmic consciousness, cosmic love that you guys have been talking about, and we refer to it as the primordial mother. So I mean, it's magical that we can get this messaging from all different types of indigenous practices and people's creation, and your unification, your bond together, and having this incredible wisdom teaching that's coming from your direct source, and the insight that's being spoken on is just second to none. And you see that in your own journey. But it's like, okay, entering that, we kind of look at things like in a 9-level ascension from a Taoist seeker perspective. There's the physical body, energy body, spirit body, sun body, earth body, moon body, and then finally the oneness body, the ultimate body, and then being. And then you're off to the races as you're all things and nothing at the same time. And there's a very clear shift within that merging that makes it tangible for the seeker. Because as David said earlier, you know, we can have this psychological transitory state that is illusion, and there's no merit for the seeker to validate that it is not a transitory state but a permanence, and that permanence comes from, you know, being able to create. And that's the evidence that you guys have, is you're creating. And, you know, a lot of people are well, you know, we talk about Wu Wei, which is effortless action, effortless effort, which is basically the insight of being able to unify as that primordial mother and show evidence of perfection. We call it perfection manifest. That perfection comes from the transmission that you put out that can then be materialized into this, what would be perceived, as you said, David. It's like things are being removed from the knowing that we have as complete, and we keep being more and more distracted and further removed from knowing who we are through these lenses of judgment and distortion that comes from the human condition. Furthermore, that's where this conditional love that you guys have been talking about, it's like, of course there's none, but you know, the more and more you create this construct that your mind, your body, your spirit is all separate, we have this quandary, this perplexing state where now we must find our Sherlock to our Watson. And now let's pick up those crumbs and move through that labyrinth that is the human mind and come back to oneness, this ultimate, this unification state. And when you guys speak on it, it's so beautiful because it's referring to this this unification, this universal knowing. And it doesn't have to come in the form of God. It can be source. But quite frankly, I'm bringing back religion as a Taoist priest. I like it. I like people believing in something. And if it's God, if it's universe, if it's Buddha, if it's Jehovah, if it's Allah, I don't care. Believe in something. Feel it. Move into it. Express it. And I think I'm right now.
Yeah, and believe into yourself.
Mm.
Because you are all of that.
And as you go deeper and deeper and deeper in, it doesn't matter what path you are walking on. It literally doesn't matter what religion you are. If you are truly adhering to the tenets, the core of what that path is, it's going to lead you, as you expressed it, to the top of the mountain, and you will remember who you are. We're not discovering anything. We're not becoming anything. We're merely remembering who we always have been. Always have been. And that part of that remembering is the dissolution of the veils that we have created around us. Call it our personality, call it our ego, whatever words you want to use. Sooner or later, everything is going to dissolve into that oneness, into that unity. And there will be nothing to believe in. There's nothing there to believe in, just beingness, just pure awareness. And at the same time, here we are in bodies. You're in America, we're in Spain. We're sitting in a house, you're sitting in your home, and it's all happening at the same time. And gradually what we end up doing is that we infuse everything around us with this unity. At the subatomic particle, we're neither physical nor energy. We're both. And it's a wave that's constantly fluctuating. And it's happening so quickly that we all have the illusion that we appear to be solid, but we're not. We're just this wave of energy, this wave of love that flows from source, from our creator, and it flows as us. And it's a joyous dance. Sometimes source must just have such an incredible sense of humor at what creation is. So where we live, there are a lot of salt lakes where they make salt, and they're filled with flamingos. If you've ever seen a flamingo fly, there's all the proof that you ever need that God has a sense of humor. They're hysterical to watch fly.
Well, yeah, I mean, evidence is all around you. The way you said it was really good. I refer to it as, ego, state, personality, identity within the finite mind, which is empty. It's bankrupt. There's nothing there. This is the repeatability of the human condition. And so when I always tell people, if you just step out of the way, you're already perfection. Your participation is not required for you to do anything. And when you step out, everything is returned to whole. And that is, I think that's really the part where people are like, well, okay, this sounds fantastic, guys. You got me. We're going through this, and it's unification, it's cosmic awareness, it's love, it's unconditional love, it's all these things, being with everything. And the reason that I find people come to me here at my temple and train in alchemy is they want a repeatability. I think it's really beautiful when we're able to share this experience, which is visceral, kinesthetic, somatic. You are validating the very evidence of this transmission as a observer of this conversation through the physical form that you will experience this gorging of your heart, this unconditional love that we speak of, because you're creating that chemistry. The oxytocin, the nitric oxide is showing you that you are connected. This center point that we speak of, some people refer to it as a heart center, a chakra, a heart chakra. We call it a dantian. But furthermore, it magnetizes this unified state, and it shows you the evidence of that. So I think that, something that I know a lot of people will ask, and for me, I just teach people how to acquire this state of awareness through a repeatable cultivational practice, which has been around for a Taoist for thousands of years. And it goes through this state, like, as we put it, we have this material, and this material state would be refined, as David put it. Some people might separate themselves by calling it a dimension. We just call it, we just refer to it as a frequency. But, you create it. I love the way you talk about that subatomic particle aspect, being, light to wave to matter to particle. This is the kind of way that I speak on it. And it creates through your attention intention. Your awareness of awareness creates this material, this currency we call energy potential. And that energy potential comes in that form. It's vibratory, it's frequential. It has a resonance. And, we're experiencing this incredible resonance here. The three of us communing in this state is evidence of this unified cosmic consciousness. And I think it's important through your wisdom teachings. For me, I show people how to replicate that frequency, and it doesn't require their participation, in the sense that they don't have to go through this. There is a rite of passage. We call it the Taoist rites. But furthermore, as a human being, there's all these, intricate labyrinths that people go through under the guise of human condition, which really speaks on everything, right? The human condition is the very restriction and construct that has to be dissolved so that you can remember who you are, as you put it, David. Remember who you are. And that state comes from experiencing, not continually accumulating more information for the finite mind that has no reference or ability to absorb it. That's why we keep repeating the same behavior over and over again, because we're looking for a different outcome. But from an intellectual perspective, it will never be resolved because it's empty. Where the intuitive state that I believe we have moved the barometer to, and we want to get back to that center point that is the merging of both, is, evidence of that. How would your teachings share with someone how to generate that path so that they know how to, so it's not just like, oh yeah, you just be love. Be love is not enough for a lot of the seekers these days. And I agree. And furthermore, you have to be able to repeat it. It has to be something like you guys have, you are the spark of divinity that helps other people remember. But this incredible magical union that you guys have had is not the story for most people. Most people are seekers that are looking for verification and knowing of what it is. They listen and experience this transmission and they go, I want more. And we call it the bite of the spiritual dragon. How is it that your teaching will share that with people?
When we're talking about love, there is so much misunderstanding also what love is. Because when we're talking about joy and about gratitude or other beautiful human expressions, then they're all expressions of love. And this is what we're told, that when we want to open more our heart, that we should cultivate these qualities within us. The more they will amplify, the more our heart is open, the more we're starting to embody our true self. And of course, we always should start with ourselves, with self-love, to dissolve all this inner separation that we created within ourselves through self-hatred and all these conditions, that cultural conditions and our personal conditions that we put to ourselves, and there is lots of surrendering. It's surrendering is the most maybe difficult, but most important part, have been most important part in our journey. And for me personally, the letting go of myself, my identities that I thought who I am, was quite difficult in one point. That because our ego, our mind always wants to hang on in something, that it wants to identify itself as something. And sometimes there are also some kind of cosmic identities, that, for example, I'm Pleiadian or I'm Arcturian or whatever it is. And one point you surrender. You need to surrender all of that. Everything. That you thought that you are every belief about yourself, about consciousness, and also about source, about God. So
when I came here, San, I moved from Northern California, from Mount Shasta, and not figuratively, I literally sold everything that I owned, everything. I came here with just a few suitcases. And as I came here, there was a complete untethering from people and places within the States. And I found myself just kind of freely floating, that I wasn't still connected with people that I love, that I have long associations with, but not to places, not to things. And that was, as it turns out, only the beginning. That was the easy part. That was the easy part, to sell everything and give it all up. I'm here in Spain, and I just have some clothes and a few other things. I have a computer that we're using now. I don't have a car. Most places that I go to, I go to by walking, or Viivika and her family come get me and take me someplace. But that's the really simple part. Surrendering everything of who you are, so that you can remember that you are the observer that is aware that you are observing. That you are the very essence of creation, and that is what is looking out through your eyes. When you look outside, you're looking from within. There is no outside. There is no out there. It's an illusion, and yet that illusion is incredibly real until it's not. So if you look at the research that Dr. Joe Dispenza did neurologically, where they discovered that the average person thinks between 70 and 90,000 thoughts a day, of which over 70 to 80% of those thoughts were ones that they had the day before and the day before and the day before. There's no originality in the lower mind. It within the brain. The brain is a tool to be able to use for your consciousness, to be able to talk with your heart. And there's a vast difference between thinking and figuring something out and knowingness. When you know something, when it comes in, you know that it's true, because it appears to not be located within inside of your personal brain. Everything is contained in the energy field that surrounds us. Look at the vast number of Nobel Prizes that have been awarded, say, in medicine or physics or science or whatever, to multiple people independently doing some kind of research, whatever it is. And they're tapping into the energy field where that information is. And that field is everything. That's the void that you speak of. That's Divine Mother. And it is filled with everything. And when we tap into that, and we do that through surrender and letting go and just becoming it, it's truly amazing. And what is coming is huge.
And when David said that when you as observer, you're looking to yourself, all this to your physical body, your human self. And one point when you're merging with this, your cosmic eye and your little eye, you're starting to see yourself through the eye of love, through the eye of source. And then you're starting to feel this immense love to yourself, as to your human self, as to your creation. And Really hard to put it into words, because you simultaneously you feel the creation that you are, your human self, and simultaneously you feel how you are looking to yourself through the eyes of love, through the eyes of source. And then you're starting to feel this beautiful different states of love as bliss and beyond. And this is where we really starting to tap into this unity with ourselves.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Say again, Sam, please.
Elementary, my dear Watson.
Yes.
It's so profound, because, you know, what you're saying, we talk about it as selfishness merges into selflessness through this act of sacrifice. And that sacrifice is very transitory. The permanence is realizing that you detach from all things and then attach as the primordial mother within Taoism. That means your attention intention instantly forms creation. As we put it, as you put it so succinctly, it was, we're observing. But to do that, you must be in the present moment. There is no past or future. It's just now. I've never witnessed a physical healing, a magic manifestation, any of these things that are supposedly paranormal or supernatural. And I've been witnessing that for, 30 plus years. This is the now moment. That incredible insight that you shared with us as the observer is that. It's like, okay, but you're literally wielding this attention intention as the now moment, and it's not as David put it earlier, where you're talking about, someone saying, "I am God," like I am God, I am the only God, as opposed to I am God as this unification, this cosmic consciousness. I think there's a very big difference, and it also comes in the experience. It's like, as you said, no thinking, and that knowing is that realization we speak on. If you're thinking, you're not knowing. If you're knowing, you're feeling. And that, again, is this incredible reiteration of this messaging. This now moment is so powerful. And when you become that now moment, there's no place, no person, no thing. I have no identity. I'm not asking the universe or God to be to help me with a miracle or a manifestation. My attention intention forms that, which is what I believe you're speaking of. But there's a rite of passage to cultivating that resonance and holding it. I think the encapsulating it as that now moment, you must be able to form. Well, this is how Taoism alchemy works. You must be able to form a container that can hold that resonance. And this was where most people will move into this world. They will have this physical body, this physical flesh as an anchor to hold their divine state. We call it the Shen. We call it the spirit that holds that in this container. You're able to merge with the unification and witness this incredible love that we have been talking about this whole podcast, and experience it as that, as your very thoughts, feelings, and emotions. You are the manifestation of divine word, will, light, love, of whatever it is that you merge with or unify as. That is evident. But there's this point of that a lot of people get, once they're whole, a lot of people will come to me and they'll be like, "Oh, Jifu, it's like I'm feeling like desensitized," because there's a transfer as you move through this state and become aware, where nothing moves the needle. Personally, nothing moves the needle for me. I am just now. And so if someone comes to me and they have a dramatic extreme on the Richter scale of polarizing effects, mum's dying, someone broke their leg, there's a psychotic state for someone who's put in an asylum, whatever it is, I'm not merging or affected by this reaction. I'm responding as the now moment, which requires no participation from me. It's just now. So this is a part where I think as we become more familiar with this ability, is getting there. You guys got there immediately as you remembered who you are as one. Yet there's a path for many as they experience what you're transmitting, and it's so undeniable. Their attention to your wisdom teaching brings them further closer to what it is that you're sharing, but now they must be able to form it. The first point of healing is being aware of your own true source, and that's that path that we're talking about. And yeah,
this is what I meant when I said we are the observer that is aware that we are observing. So if you feel into that, and if you know that you are an observer that is looking, what is the awareness that is aware that you are observing? It goes much deeper, and please don't misunderstand it. We're not suggesting that anybody that is experiencing difficulties as they walk on this path, it doesn't happen instantly. It can. It's not usually recommended. Mental institutions around the world are filled with people that woke up way too quickly, and they couldn't hold it. Takes a while to build up, shall we say, your spiritual muscles energetically, to build up your nervous system to be able to do this, to be able to wake up and remember who we are. It does happen quickly, and it's happening much quicker now because everything is changing so quickly and so dramatically. And I don't care who you are, you're being impacted by it, you're being affected by it. So.
And all these embodiment processes takes years and years. And then this is what we told about the starting point. This is the self-love, that you're starting to release all these veils within yourself. And as your son said, there is only this now moment. And when you want to be truly connected with your true self, there is only through this now moment.
And this is also why we offer classes and courses to be of assistance to others, knowing full well there are no others. Everybody that comes to class is us.
And it's becoming this one shared experience, but we still, everybody as unique fractal of source, experiencing that this one united experience through our unique perspective. So even this, we are there as one heart, as one mind, as one.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because, I get being an ordained priest in 2 lineages of Taoism, we have ancient rituals that I teach people, one being Taoist alchemy, but there are hundreds literally. But furthermore, it's falling into a repeatable method. And, a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to be indoctrinated into a belief system that, it has a certain outcome. This is where people get all uppity about spirituality, religion, atheism. This is like the cyclical turn of events through human history that makes things so interesting, because as a collective, the majority, the mob mentality, which is sort of like, as you put it, a fractal, is just, you know, a mirroring of the mirror neurons within your own neurology, that you're attaching yourself to a group think. And, you know, emotionally, this is the entry point to your unconscious behavior, because if you're emotional, you're suggestible, which furthermore makes it potentially problematic for someone that is still yet to solidify their knowing. And so within our path, we call it inquiry to contemplation. Contemplation creates curiosity. Curiosity nurtures hope. Hope then blossoms into a belief system. That belief system is then met by the knowing through experience. It's an experiential moment that is repeatable, that validates that. And as you put it, David, it's like many people have, you know, turned on the lights too quickly, as they would put it, but it's sort of fundamentally spearheaded because of their belief system and the sort of the polarizing effects of, you know, good and bad, up and down, heaven and hell. This can be problematic because now you're stuck in this. And more recently, you know, I've just had quite a few people that are potentially, you know, you would put it, working with, you know, states of psychological awareness, which furthermore, from my position through human history, that is the very seed of destruction that was thrown in the wheel, the cog, as you would put it, back in the 1600s, giving this evidence that we need to separate the mind from the body from the spirit, which just puts people into a rat in a wheel sort of process that just goes over and over again, repeating the same thing, looking for a different outcome. And so, in my opinion, and I have many people, that psychology is a very distraction. And, you know, as I was bringing your attention to it, yeah, I've had quite a few people recently. And once you exercise that energy from them, and they've tried everything, meds, you know, therapy sessions, years sitting on a couch, having people guide them through what they believe is the way that they're supposed to unravel their finite mind. When I just exercise them through that resonance, they're liberated, because it's really them being trapped, and they sort of like turn their car on, but they're not given the keys to turn it off, and they're not given the methods of how they become more in tune. They're listening to things that are impeding their attention intention, which happens to everyone, because we're all just vessels of as you put it, source. And furthermore, you're getting in information. Your ability to affirm or discern what that is the very necessity for you to create this knowing. And a lot of people that get caught up in that psychological profile stuff are incapable of finding the answers to turn it off or turn it on. And so when you regulate their energy potential and you give them the mastery of building from vibrational frequential resonance, which doesn't have any identity. And that's where I like telling people, you know, Taoism is a method of cultivation. It does not require an identity or an indoctrination. You use the method to cultivate, and then you're able to repeat this resonance. And you furthermore, you mentioned Joe Dispenza, and, you know, I mean, quite clearly, this is what, you know, Dispenza has, you know, taken indigenous practices which create resonance between the heart and the brain that show this cohesive, unified state, and he repeats it. The reason he's so successful now, and he wasn't 15 years ago, is people didn't believe any of the things that he said. He had disappointment. He wasn't creating a result that was repeatable. And all of a sudden he got enough people researching his material, and he got into a group environment where there was more and more people believing and knowing through the experience that there's absolute change, and there's this thing that we call that surrender we talked about. Yet you have to be able to repeat that. And I believe that a lot of people move into the Dispenza stuff, and I get tons of students that go for retreats over and over again, and then unfortunately they get left with holding the bag, and they're not met with a result that is repeatable. What are your thoughts on that?
When you, everything what you want to heal, you need to feel. So everything's starting from our heart always. Everything's opening up in our hearts. So people really often just running away from their own creation, from their own self. So, and it's mean that they don't want to feel. They don't want to feel these emotions, everything that they created. And you cannot connect with source, with your true self, through your mind. Never, never going to happen. So the more you're starting to feel and release all these different distortions and emotions and then beliefs, and it's happening only through feeling, because you can achieve unity consciousness only. It's feeling state. So the deeper you dive,
not emotion.
No, it's and we're not talking about emotions. We're talking about higher senses. So it's very and when we talked about love, it's very essence of our sense. It's not emotions. It's nothing to do with that we thought about.
How do people jump from that? See,
Sorry?
for me, how, when someone, the first thing I teach someone is to master their emotions, because that's a distraction. The emotion stuff is a transitory transmission from the human condition. Once you realize that you can unify yin and yang and create the ability to move these emotions off the playing field of your reality, you experience what you're speaking of. You're able to develop these ascended states where you are consciousness, love, unification. How does that? How a lot of people it's a great point you guys made, because a lot of people get confused, and they're like, "Well, I'm feeling you. You want me to feel into my heart? Heart consciousness still exhibits this, what we would call side effects, emotional states. Now, within Taoism, where there's an emotion of virtue, you want to dissolve the emotion and reveal the virtue. And I think that's where you are sharing the same messaging, where the virtue is, unconditional love, that state of awareness. What do you think?
For most people, the emotional states that they experience, no matter what it is, it's not unusual that they are the outer reflection of a distortion within them, possibly even a very traumatic distortion. And yet most people are afraid to go in and feel what's in there. It's not the event, it's the feeling that is trapped. And if you can feel that feeling all the way to the bottom until there's nothing left to feel, that's not only when it releases and it does not return, but that's when it releases the light that has been trapped inside of it and held tightly. And that light moves to your heart, and it adds to the brightness that you experience in your heart. There's a really lovely line from one of the Arthurian movies, The Legend of the Sword, where Arthur has the sword, but he can only pick it up with one hand. Anytime that he holds it with both hands, the sword becomes embodied. It glows with a beautiful blue light, and it completely overpowers his nervous system, and he collapses. And one day he was attempting to hold the sword and failing repeatedly. And the mage in the movie comes and asks him if he saw everything that he needed to see. And he said, "You look." And she said, "Nobody wants to look. I don't want to look. It hurts too much. It's too painful." And then she tells him, "But you are a king. You're not a normal person. The lives of your people depend upon whether or not you are willing to look in those places that nobody wants to look." And in that analogy, if you understand that everybody here is now a king or a queen, and we have to look, doesn't mean we have to obsess and stay in that space forever. We look, we feel, and we release. So we're going through something that has never happened in this realm before. Historically, people remembered who they are one at a time. A person would remember, and they would ascend. They would leave their physical body and go back into a different vibrational frequency, a different dimension. What we are experiencing now is that the entire planet, every single being, every single soul that is here, is being offered the same opportunity to collectively, as a planet, lift and remember who we are. This is unprecedented. It has never happened in this creation before. It's the opportunity for everyone is just incredible. And even though Viivika and I offer classes and personal sessions and courses, in-depth courses that we go really, really deep, the reality is that what we really offer is a resonance. What we really offer is a resonance that you feel when we're in your presence, and that your audience also can feel. And it's that resonance that is the real transmission. That's the transmission that truly comes through us. And as you say, it is repeatable, because we touch into it every time that a transmission begins. It's so palpably present. And we're not, please don't misunderstand me. We don't wish to make this about us at all. This is not conversation. It's not about us. It's not about us personally. It's not about David or Viivika. David and Viivika left quite a while ago. There are still remnants that are here. We're not finished. But it's that resonance that quickens. It's that spark that lights a spark. It's like you said, 1,000 candles can be lit from one candle. And it doesn't matter what candle it is. It doesn't matter in terms of bodies who the candle is. It's not personal that way at all. Not at all.
And when we are in group as one consciousness, then the spark amplifies it within everybody. So it's becoming a shared experience, as we spoke about before.
Yeah.
And when David mentioned transmission, then we all transmitting consciously different vibrations, frequencies all the time. And the true transmissions is not only the words, but it is this ultrasound, ultralight that coming through all of us. And the more active our heart and the more open is our heart, the more we feel this true transmission behind the words also. And this is deeper knowingness, and sometimes we even cannot put it into the word, and we are not want to put it into the words because it feels that this will like squeeze this true meaning. Of course, words are also important, and this is like part of this breath of source, because when we bringing forth these words, then we always excel. This is like we bringing forth this new creation, and the words helps materialize this new creation. We feel it more with our physical body, but the transmission always there, even when we're sitting in silence. It's always there, this knowingness, this sharing between all of us.
Yeah, it's that incredible. As you put the macro of a micro, you can go to all indigenous practices and they talk about what's inside you is outside of you. It seems to be more evident through your own path, and then incredible beings like yourself transmitting. I never witnessed. I've witnessed thousands of healings in my biological lifetime. Watching bones fuse, tumors disappear, gashes disappear before my very eyes. This is just resonance. It's remembering, and bringing that frequency will have an effect on people within this material state. So, sometimes, as you put it, people don't want to feel into it. That will be said evidence of this polarizing electromagnetism. So unification is beyond this electromagnetism, beyond this light spectrum, as you put it, the realm, or however you put it. From a physics perspective, you would call it, as you said, a fractal. This is a dear friend of mine's a physicist, Tom Campbell. He calls it the 0 point, the singular, scalar wave, whatever you want to call it. But for me, it's just the Tao, and it shows you unification. So people instantly remember. So if you just bring it in, let's just say the three of us walk into Starbucks, and if people are not ready to feel into it, as you put it, David, they're going to have an adverse reaction to the resonance. And that's the electromagnetism. They'll either love you or hate you. That's just the option that people have within this labyrinth of human condition.
It will stimulate them.
Yeah.
It will quicken them. What they do with that's their perspective.
Well, yeah. That, as you put it, the quickened aspect, most people are not ready to bring that attention. And I can't help myself, but you said Joe Dispenza, he always says, no one likes to light a match in a dark place. Sure, whatever. This is evidence of moving away from something. This is a merging. For a Taoist, it's the bellows effect. You're either all things or nothing at the same time. You're everything, contracting and expanding at the same time. And you get that point. You get to decide when that point is. It's like, okay, for a Taoist, your lowest is your highest. So deception, delusion is the very unraveling of your insight to what you believe is your human condition. So when you're really at your lowest, you're actually at your highest. Furthermore, it goes right back to the scripture of the Tao Te Ching, where we say, the name that can be named is not the name. The way to be walked is not the way. Tao is both nameless and named. It's all things and nothing. So you have an option. And I bring it back to the simplicity of, is your glass half empty or half full? And I mean, that could really cut through the mustard of all the things that we're talking about. What are your thoughts on that?
And I would ask you, is there a glass?
Sure. 100%. Is there a glass?
Or is the glass real?
This, for the three of us, is quite apparent. For someone asking that question would bring someone potentially back to their intellect and their finite mind, because that's too hard to digest. For me, you had me in hello. You had me in hello. That's the effort. That you and I understand that we've been walking this path for many lifetimes leading up to this, and you know, biologically, you know, I've been personally aware of teaching this stuff for 36 years, thanks to one of my friends reminding me, you need to change your resume. I said, what are you talking about? Well, I said, I've been doing this 32 years. He goes, when did you start? 89. That's 36 years. I'm like, oops, I better change that on the resume there. Whatever it is, it's all the same. It's all things and nothing. Yet being aware is so profound, because you have this lifetime that you can make of it what you choose to keep raising that consciousness, keep expanding, keep staying in that state. The two of you meeting as one in this lifetime with so much incredible mortal state still to be realized in a human timeline is such a profound thing. And I think that most people do not even come close to that. You know, you have talking heads like, for example, someone like Steve Jobs, who unfortunately died a miserable death. And his last words were, oh my goodness, it's much brighter than I thought. Yet he made claims to being a Buddhist and being enlightened and all these types of things, which was clearly not evident. Yet he found it at the end of his mortality. Yet, you know, for a Taoist, the cultivational stuff comes from this. We bring immortality and crystallize it through alchemy into the material state that you and I consider, you know, reality. So it's permanent, it's permeable, it's tangible, and you would realize it as, you know, a miracle, something supernatural. I don't know.
That's what we would refer to as embodiment.
Yes.
We embody our soul. We embody the consciousness of our soul in the physical body. And that can only happen when we, as a personality, as an individualized person, as an ego with all kinds of our stuff, have dissolved.
And this is what we call surrender. This is what we call surrender. That it's not sacrificing. It's surrender. It's we surrender, all of us. It's not about that we always should surrender all material things, but we surrender ourselves. All of what we thought we are.
All of those precious little places of, surely not that. Yes, exactly that. And trust me, I can speak for myself. I'm not done. I'm not done. There's still pieces surfacing to release. Yes. And one of the beauties of it is that in every moment, every in-breath that we take, we dissolve and return the entirety of ourself to source. And with every exhale, source comes and brings an entirely new wave of us to us. So in every moment, literally, source is breathing us into creation.
And we starting to breathe through our heart, through our true heart. Yes. So it's becoming really different. And when we breathe in and out, we feel how this light, this amplifies our heart. And when we breathe out, we literally breathe out this light that we are.
And so in that breath, it's like an infinity loop. Mm-hmm. With the very center of that infinity being our heart. And every time the breath moves through the heart, it grows brighter it expands.
Go ahead. Go.
And when we spoke about the words, then all the words they becoming this conduits of this energy. It's not about the word what we're using, but it's about the sound, the connection with our heart, and this it's coming through our speech center that is connected with our true heart, with the heart of all creation, and it's really palpable for everybody who are connected already. So and we're not talking about ourselves, but about all who are embodying right now.
And that's everybody.
Yes. not probably we all have different states of consciousness. But
not everybody's at the same place
yes.
in their involvement. And that's evidenced by the world at large, because it kind of looks like chaos out there right now, as everything is breaking down, and that's a necessary component for most people. Things need to break down so that they have a deeper opportunity to see just exactly how distorted the way the world running is.
That's fascinating, the breath you mentioned there, because I mean we call it embryonic breathing, primordial breathing. So you're breathing from unification. It's not from the physical body anymore. And when you say the light comes in, we refer to it as the creation of the diamond of perfection. So a condensing of primordial mother, which is the evidence of all things. The reflection of that is yang, which is light within this material state. So you see evidence of that through that yang in this material. And so it's like you're mentioning things that I teach, and it's like, wow, it's like so parallel that information is coming in and we're all raising collectively, and it all becomes clear.
And it's beautiful that it's coming from like the same diamond, the same consciousness, but different facets. Whoa. So when you mentioned the womb of mother, and then I mentioned this core of creation, and how we perceive that this womb of mother and the heart of all creation, there is one, united as one. There is no separation, and the very core of that is what I refer as core of creation, and this is where this breath is coming. So
it's mind blowing, that the breath for a Taoist, it's between the breath in and the breath out. So these are evidence of electromagnetism, yin and yang. Right? So between that is where you find the center point. So what we call absorb the riches, you pause and you hold.
Yeah.
Creation is evident. It condenses the diamond. It becomes very clear and evident. The admission, which is the admission of all light, which is the basically the evidence of the primordial mother, will be shown to you with this center point, and you can find it anywhere. And then as you hold the breath longer, you start to absorb and saturate the 50 trillion cells within this physical flesh that creates evidence of the primordial knowing. And so you crystallize that into material. Now immortality is evident. Now how I would show someone is I put my arm up, drive a skewer through it, pull it out, and there's no blood, there's no entry or exit, and people freak out. Or furthermore, a manifestation, or furthermore, magic, healing, all this kind of stuff where you're going, hang on a second, that doesn't seem possible. When I channel my teacher, I can put my hand up, light a flame, hold it under it, pull it away. There's no damage to the flesh, because that is a unified at a subatomic level, the immortal self through this physical body. as evidence. The resonance is there. And I think a lot of people get involved with channeling. You and I, we'd all agree this. A lot of people out there right now, and they're like, oh, I'm channeling. I woke up and I'm channeling the Palladians, and they open up a YouTube channel and get 100,000 followers. This happens, but I would also give pause to where they are at, as David put it, in their own perception of reality, because in most cases, they're still very deficient and they're looking for approval. And so they may have created some awareness of this connection, and they're bringing this energy in, and that's fine. But I always find that most people that end up on my doorstep are excessive or deficient, because that's part of the material state of this, as you put it, realm. And so they're always spending their own life force, which is the biggest, misdirection for most people on the path of awareness, is they don't realize that they don't have to sell their soul or their physical transmission, what we call the essence, the Jing within Taoism. This is your constitution, and you're born into it, and it may be shown to you as a genetic disposition, a hereditary sort of like ancestral line of what you believe is the construct of this physical body. But that's just the beginning. It makes up nothing of who you really are. So you merge with that, and you saturate that through the absorption of the riches, and then you realize that you are all things. You're no longer springing from this physical body, because all the healers and the channelers, all these people that come to me, they're always exhausted by the end of their day. This is a long task. If I go and channel someone or heal with someone, I'm exhausted by the end of it. You are selling your very essence. These people have yet to discover the power of themselves. And I think that's something that, you guys have been reiterating through this whole conversation, is the power of remembering who you are, and that unified state that you talked about, surrender. I would say I would have a healthy conversation with you about that as being a sacrifice, because people don't understand that to truly reveal yourself, you must sacrifice what your identity is. And it seems painful, but once you get to the other side, you realize there's no pain required for this experience. But to actually say it is a whole different embodiment. You go, holy moly, I'm really doing it. Furthermore, if you say I'm surrendering, holy moly, that is another big, huge ring of fire you're walking through. And once it happens, just the charge that we all just got right now, that we are feeling through our physical body, this visceral experience, this chill, this is evidence of our experience. And that's that part. So I would have a healthy conversation saying that surrender is sacrifice, vice versa. But furthermore, the evidence is you come out of the spiritual car wash, this labyrinth, with this profound awareness and expansion that makes you whole, that everything you look at is perfection. Everything is perfection. Everything is unconditional. And that is what I would like the audience to know from my perspective, that what we're speaking of now is so potent, it's so powerful, and you're feeling it in an experiential moment through this conversation. And so that's that part where people, I feel, are lost. They need the insight. So all your wisdom teaching, the stuff that I teach people, it's necessary for them to return and remember who they are. Furthermore, without it, you wouldn't have this consciousness. What do you think?
It's not, there is no sacrifice. What most people love,
The delusional part that they don't realize.
Most people love to look outside themselves. That's what they like to do.
Right.
They don't want to look inside. So when you think that your personality and all of the idiosyncrasies and belief systems and whatever else is going on as it wanders around inside the skull, if you think that that's so incredibly precious that you could never, ever bear to surrender it, It's the equivalent to having a dinner in front of you that is a moldy bowl of mush cereal. And you just cannot bear to sacrifice, to give up that bowl of moldy food. When the moment that you just set it down and give it up and just surrender, there is a feast beyond your imagining, just waiting, because it's already who you are. In the Orient, people capture monkeys for pets and other reasons by taking a hard gourd and hollowing it out and carving a hole in it just big enough for a monkey to take its hand like this, close it, and put it in. And then they put some food inside of it and tie it to a tree. And a monkey comes along, puts its hand in, grabs the food, but once it's grabbed the food, its hand is too big. It can't pull it back out through the gourd. And people come along and capture it. All it has to do is let go of the food and run away. But they don't. And we're kind of like that with our personality. We think it's so precious who we are as an individuated consciousness that we're not willing to just let it go, when we don't realize that on the other side of that, it is more miraculous than you can possibly imagine. And I'm quite serious about that. I mean that in every fiber of my being. It is more miraculous than any of us can imagine. And we're just beginning. We're just really starting.
And when we're talking about the suffering, then who is suffering is our ego. Because of course ego never don't want to surrender. And when we're talking about our identities, they're always connected with our ego. They are a creation of our ego, our human identities. So and yes, sometimes it can feel like we're really losing something when we're surrendering something, because our human self, our ego, it's really like feels this lost and sometimes it can feel also that we're really like departing, that we like we really like dying. The deeper we're going, then we feel this transcendence of our ego as dying sometimes, that we're really losing ourselves. But then when we're really surrendering all that we thought we are, then we're creating the space within us, and the space starting to fulfill with our true essence. And this fulfillment, when we're starting to feel, then it's undescribable. And this joy and the states of bliss that we're feeling, not only in states of meditation, but constantly. So we never can feel such a joy from outer world. Yes, we can have these outer sources of love that can amplify sometimes this joy within us, but it's temporary. But when we're talking about our true self, and when we're creating this space within ourselves for our true self, and when we're embodying that, And the more we're embodying, the more we're starting to feel this fulfillment. And only abundant heart can feel this true abundance and create true abundance. And when you talk about this glass, how we feel this glass, it's half empty or half full, this is exactly that. It's like it will be reversed. We always feel that this glass is half full. Always.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the center point. That's that middle point we're talking about.
There's
You to expand.
There's a wonderful old Persian story about a man that had no food, that was very hungry, and he was walking to another village in the hope that he would be able to receive some food. And he met a woman walking down on the same road, and he saw that she was holding in her hand a precious gem. And he asked her if she would give it to him, which she instantly did, just no hesitation. And he rushed off knowing that this gem was so valuable that he would be able to sell it and have enough money to be able to eat for the rest of his life. But he couldn't sell it. He couldn't do it. And he walked back. And eventually he found her again and gave her back the stone. And what he said to her is, what I really want is what you have that allowed you to give me that stone so effortlessly. And that's surrendering into everything. As Rumi says, we are all beings in the light of the beloved. We are all, that's who we are. That's the very essence of who we are. And I'd like to clarify that to your viewers, that wherever you are on your journey, it's okay. Be at peace with where you are. Being at peace with what is the way to shift what is. If you're not in this moment, if you're upset with what your circumstances are, you're not in this moment. You're not being present with what is. And wherever you are okay. There's no worries, no problems. We are all exactly where we are on our journey. And there's always going to be somebody that's farther along the path. There's always going to be somebody that's hasn't gone very far. But as Ram Dass so elegantly said, we're all just walking each other home. So there is no hierarchy here. There's just oneness. So wherever you are, be at peace with that.
Yeah, and it's so beautiful how the more you surrender and release, the more you feel how you always have been, your human self always supported by others. Even there is no others, but I mean as human perspective. In unity consciousness, before you're sending like conscious prayer or thinking about something, before there is any lack, already somebody answered to your prayer. It's working in this way. Before there is lack, somebody answered to your prayer. And David, maybe you can share your story in the airport. It's perfect example of that.
When I flew here, the day of driving to the airport, I forgot to charge my phone. I had plenty of time to do it. It was an hour's drive to get to the airport. And I just forgot. And when I was all the way through security and there's no coming back out, I discovered that maybe I had 2 or 3% of the battery on the phone. So I walked up to a gentleman and asked him if he had a good charge. He was charging his phone. I asked him if he had plenty of charge that he could let me use his cord. And he smiled at me and he laughed. And he said, you know, I packed my bag yesterday for my flight back. He was flying to someplace in the central US. And as I was packing the bag, I noticed that I had 2 charging cords in it. And I said, I told myself internally, I don't need 2 charging cords. And then he went, well, I've packed them. That's okay. So I've got 2 here. Please take one. And it was such a profound gift because I was able to fully charge my phone on the first flight from the airport there to San Francisco. And I had a full charge on my phone. I wouldn't have had that without this small miracle happening. When it came time to board the plane to fly to Europe, I had only purchased a one-way ticket. And they were not going to let me on the plane unless I had an exit flight to leave Europe. And because I had a full charge on my phone, I had less than 10 minutes to call a
Booking
person to book a flight, get a flight booked, and have it sent to my phone and show the boarding people that, yes, I have an exit flight. And that wouldn't have happened without that person having packed it. And they packed it before the need was known. So in every moment, everything is there in the moment that we need it. We don't need to know what it is or why it is or how it is. It just arrives. It just arrives.
And his name was?
I don't remember. Do you remember his name? His last name was Love.
Stanislav Love.
And not only that, he teaches breath.
Mm-hmm. And
teaches breathing.
Love in action.
There are no coincidences, my dear friends.
None.
Everything is
only synchronicities.
Yeah. I mean, this is what we call Wu Wei, effortless action, effortless effort. And that's the perplexity, the paradox of the human condition. Well, how is that possible? Because the breath is action. You don't have to move. You don't have to do anything. You are instantly charging everything sufficiently to create that serendipitous, synchronistic path of perfection. And it will, if you choose, your mission, if you choose to accept it, Ethan Hunt. I don't know if you're a Mission Impossible fan, but anyway, you must stay in that center point and all will be revealed. And David's story is just another example of perfection.
Stories like that are just stories, and they happen everywhere, constantly. And the more that you are aware that you are the observer being aware of yourself, the more that is the flow that you are in. It happens effortlessly.
The more you remember this truth about this.
If you've ever watched a young child, maybe a year or less old, and they're holding something in their hand. If you watch an adult, you can almost see the thought process that they will go through before they set whatever they're holding down and let go of it. A young child, just without thinking, there's no thought, they just effortlessly let it go. It's a part of it. The holding on to it and the letting go are part of the same flow. They're identical to each other, and it requires no effort at all. And in not efforting, everything comes into being. I know that seems really counterintuitive.
No,
It's so very true.
It's we're letting go our little creation to become something new and to create a new way through the unity, which is highest good for everyone. So,
well, this has been an incredible recharge and insight today. It's been absolutely profound what you guys are transmitting. Furthermore, I've been as high as a kite through this whole conversation, but
I was just going to say, you also too, my friend.
Well, yeah. I mean, a lot of my students, they accuse me of aura dipping, which is some sort of like coin thing. I'm always sampling energy. Always. That's just the experience of this path that we're on. And you guys are, I'm schwitzing here. I don't know whether you know what that word is. It's a Yiddish word for sweating. I'm schwitzing a little bit from the amount of putting through here.
Well, we're glad we could make you sweat.
Yeah. It's just more incredible evidence of that unification. It's perfection. It's just, I mean, you could just use all the adjectives you want, but there are really no words to describe it until you experience it. And in closing, what is it? I'm going to ask you again because everything changes. What is your definition of spiritual consciousness, guys?
Spiritual consciousness.
If I was going to choose a word, it would be emptiness that is fullness.
Love it.
Or fullness that is completely empty.
Beautiful.
And there is no difference.
And the more you embody that, the more you realize that everything is part of that. Everything. Everything is your creation. Everything is you. And then you totally dropping this judgment that something is spiritual or something is not spiritual also. You're dropping this also, and then you're starting to really, really truly embody the truth that you are.
And that emptiness that is full and that fullness that is empty is love.
That's what we're
all-encompassing love.
and you it can't be anything more powerful than what we're experiencing right now. And that comes from you are me, I am you. My love for myself is my love for you, which returns to this selflessness and servitude that we experience as these beacons of divinity that help people remember to return to who they are, which is just, I'm really sad that this is my job. No, I'm just kidding. I'm pretty sure you guys feel the same way. It's like, oh no, I don't think I wake up and do this one more day. Do we get like time off, double time, weekends? No, this is a 24/7 thing. So every day I wake up like a giddy little child, as if it's the first time I've ever experienced it. And that gratitude is in my opinion, one of the ways that you hold that resonance. And I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. And every day is the best day ever.
Best day
Every
ever
moment
is
the
best moment
ever.
Right. I mean, people ask me, so how are you today? And I'm like, it's good to be me. What can I say? And you just experience that. And this is what is the result. Our bond, our unity, remembering our incredible frequency that we've had in past lives and this present. And we merge back together. And this conversation is the very evidence of that. My goodness, guys, I'm just so grateful for you to be able to reconnect and bond with the two of you as one in this lifetime. And I have the rest of my natural born life to enjoy our incredible friendship and love for each other. And oh my goodness, guys, easy with the juice here. I'm gonna start crying. All right, easy now. And it's just amazing.
We don't manage it.
We love you too, Sam.
Well, I really love you guys.
Place of our beingness. So thank you so much.
I'm going to put all your social sphere and interweb interactions where people can find you. I want everyone to go out and experience these incredible beings as one together, my dear friends. And I want you to really immerse yourself in the wisdom teachings, because the Eden template, as they so humbly refer themselves as one unity, man, if you aren't getting high off this sampling, you're going to get it when you just keep going further and further into the center point. Thank you guys for coming on today, and I look forward to continuing this conversation, and we will be repeating it again in the near future. And I'm so excited that your travels brought you together and you're now in the same space, occupying it and sharing each other's expanded state of awareness and just being. Because wow, it's good to be me that I have friends like you. That's simple as that. Thank you.
Who is this me of whom you speak?
Right. Of course. Always, David, reminding me to remember who I am.
Reminding me to remember who I am.
We all are divine mirrors to each other.
Yes.
The different facets, same diamond.
Thank you, Sam.
I just want to thank you. I love you, Viivika and David. Thank you for coming today for this conversation. I know everyone's going to love hearing it and experiencing it. And furthermore, thank you for just being. I'm not gonna put the being you, because then you'll get me to go back to I'm just being, right? So love you guys. I want to thank you. I want to thank the audience for sharing their time with us today. I am your humble servant and seafood Taoist Master San Qing, and I'll see you on the next one, guys.